Hey guys, this is Honey from Education ESA and welcome to our Maturita series. Today I have a special guest, Ian, who is going to walk us through your favorite book or movie or music for your Maturita. Hi Ian, thank you.
Hi, yeah, thanks, Honey. Yes, I'm here to present today on the Maturita and presenting on your favorite books, movies, or music. So let's go ahead and just get started. So at the beginning of your Maturita presentation, you should usually give some overview for the topic of books, movies, or music. And so you're kind of trying to think of what is the broad significance of these things, these pieces of art, or culture. And so you can kind of touch on how first they may shape culture, by capturing historical contexts from which they're made, addressing social issues of the time that they were made in, or preserving and influencing national identities of the places they were made, right? So if it's made in America in the 1920s, maybe it's capturing the historical context of that time, maybe social issues going on during the Roaring Twenties or something, and of course the national identity that was defining the country at the time before the Great Depression. They simply entertain us. So you can talk about this and why that's special to people. And also, another way that you can approach the overview is how they may help us understand ourselves. Maybe we watched them or interacted with these books, movies, or music at a young age, and they were a big impression on identifying or defining ourself, right?
Mhm, mhm,
So then you can also try to answer the question, why did you choose the topic? So how have the books, movies, or music shaped your thoughts, creativity, interests, or even your values, with maybe some messages or specific things from this material. Okay, so that's the overview. And of course, books, movies, music, all of these things have very interesting storytelling, imaginative expressions in them. We witness the emotional expressions of others in these, and that's also a way to reflect on how you share similar emotions with people. This is sometimes called catharsis, where negative emotions are brought up and it allows you to expel them. And you leave the movie theater or the book happier, or after having considered maybe some more intense emotions. Um, they also teach life lessons, morals, and values. So those are things that you can touch on in your presentation about what those are in the books, movies, or music. They also help us connect with diverse cultures and ways of thinking, maybe ones that we haven't been able to interact with in person. So we get to see them expressed in these forms of literature that are more easily accessible than maybe a human being in another country. And again, entertainment and escapism are sometimes things that are important in kind of a hectic life otherwise. So
mhm,
that's something that can definitely be talked about in your Maturita presentation. So details for this, the options that you have with this category of Maturita topic are actually quite large. So it's good to kind of focus them. And you can do this by choosing a specific author or even a specific book, story, or poem. So if you want to get more specific, that's good. You can choose a director or a specific movie. So again, you can either be as broad as a director's works, or you can get even more focused in on a movie or even a specific scene if you feel like you could talk about a scene for that long.
mhm,
You can also choose an artist or a song. So I've included, as you can see, some of my favorite books and movies and things that I might talk about when, if I were to give this presentation. And you can also make it more broad as well if you feel like you wouldn't be able to talk about one small book or one small movie for or one small scene for a certain amount of time. You can instead maybe talk about a period of history in the art form, maybe some period in literature, like Old English, if you're interested in that or something. So you can also choose a genre as well of similar works. So if you look at Kurt Cobain standing there, you could choose the entirety of grunge and start talking about like Pearl Jam or some other grunge bands that you like or something. What you should also do is include some plot overview if you're doing a book or a movie, or a synopsis of maybe the lyrics of the song. You could also do present on the themes. You should present on the themes of the song, book, or movie. And you can also present on your personal connection to it. Why did you choose this for your presentation? And lastly, how do I choose? If you're really wondering and kind of thinking this is complicated, you should reflect on what has shaped who you are today. Kind of ask yourself, what media have I consumed the most of? What life lessons have I learned from these different medias? Have any of these influenced what I'm interested in today? What helped me get through these hard times when I maybe was younger and I turned to art or literature to help? And have my tastes evolved over the years? Maybe I liked some things when I was younger and now I like other things. And you can look at these progressions and think about how those reflect identity. And what do my evolving tastes say about me as well? And of course, these are the questions that you can ask yourself to choose these things. And so I included some pictures of a movie that I really like, His Girl Friday, and a poem that I really like, and some lyrics from a band I really like. So once you've chosen these things, you should also try not to forget the key details of the work and include these excerpts, lyrics, posters, screen caps. Try to make it very colorful and personalized, like I've tried to do in my presentation as well. So, and then last thing you should try to do is make connections with other Maturita topics as well. And so this one is actually quite um, good for making other connections to other Maturita topics. You can connect to culture and society. So, how books, movies, or music have made a cultural impact, because of course, many of them have done so. How the piece you chose has had that cultural impact is really important to touch on. Again, personal development, how the piece's themes apply to your real life or to a person's real life, if you don't want to get overly personal. Hobbies and free time, how you use these as leisure activities in your, if you're looking for some form of escapism. Of course, technology, that's the way that we consume a lot of this media now with reading ebooks or watching movies on streaming platforms. That's something that you can make as a connection. And also globalization, because of the easy access to different books, movies, and songs from all over the world. We're a much more globalized society when we're able to see and interact with different cultures and different nations' art and literature. So, and questions you might be asked afterwards that you can try to prepare for. Why did you choose this? Can you explain the message of the book in one sentence? They might ask you to try to be very short with it, try to be succinct with these kinds of things. Do you prefer books written by authors from your country or abroad, and why? What is your favorite genre and why? If you had to recommend one of these works to your peers, which would it be and why? So you can also probably see that I've included a lot here, the question why, because I would assume that if you're taking the Maturita, people are not going to really let you get by with simple answers. They're really going to want you to expand on why using because, right? And how do these forms of media compare to other hobbies like sports or travel? Maybe you could answer they're easier to interact with. And how do you think books, movies, and music will evolve in the future? That's another way that they could ask you these kind of thought-provoking questions. So it's good to consider them a bit before going into the material talk. So you can also use specific examples of the materials you chose in your answers, right? So you can point back to when I was talking about ABC, I would think it applies to this question, and here's why. right?
That's
Uh,
awesome, Ian. Thank you. And you guys, this was full of new words, even for me. Like, some of the words were new, so I'm so excited to now hear you being that student sitting in a mock maturita. And what about if Ian chose the topic, my favorite book, or my favorite movie, or my favorite, what was the third one? Book, movie, or song? Music, right? Okay, so hi, Ian. How would you talk about it?
yeah, so I think that what I would talk about is my favorite movie. So,
Mhm,
um, I went to film school and I studied a lot there. I studied a lot about motorcycles in movies, and I had
mhm,
this special connection to motorcycles in movies because my father was somebody who built motorcycles when I was young. And
mhm,
so I got a lot of time witnessing him building these things, and he interacted with this a lot. And that was very formative for me
mhm,
when I was a child. So, one of my favorite movies is this film called Easy Rider. It
mhm.
was made around 1970. My date might be a bit wrong. I can't remember right now. But it was from a time in Hollywood. It was made from a time in Hollywood called New Hollywood. And
Mhm.
this was a time when Hollywood movies were becoming much more expressive and artistic. And so I think it's interesting to look at how this artistic expression was emerging in a Hollywood system that
Mhm.
had not really shown a lot of this artsy material before. So
Mhm.
I think it's interesting how this part of my identity was merging with my interest in art and culture,
Mhm.
and how that was kind of like showing a change in the United States that I think was really impressive, and a change that was kind of happening all around the world in the 60s and 70s.
Mhm.
And so I think that this movie is really, mm, I can identify with it a lot, and I find it really funny, but also it has some moments of kind of deep reflection on
Mhm.
the
Mhm.
kind I won't spoil it, but that's kind of a deep reflection on the transience of life and how we only get to live in the world for so long and experience so much before it may be gone. So,
Mhm. Mhm.
um, yeah, one of my favorite movies is Easy Rider, and it has really cool motorcycles and cool songs in it too. So that's simply another reason.
Oh, that's awesome. So it covers music too. I would also want to ask you if you ever read or if there is a movie that you saw that left you with the catharsis feeling that you mentioned, because this is one of the words that you mentioned here, and this might be new for some people. So can you elaborate more on that?
Yeah, totally. So, yes, again, with Easy Rider, it does have a very intense ending
Mhm.
that makes you very sad. And so I think that having that reflection on kind of how life could end at any moment, really,
Mhm.
um, it makes you leave the theater very depressed for a while, but then it also leaves you thinking, well, if this life is so fragile, if it can escape so quickly from us, then it's really important to kind of live it every day to its fullest. So I think that that's kind of an interesting part of the movie, and an interesting way to think about catharsis is that it made me very sad to maybe see, okay, I am spoiling it, maybe see
Mhm.
characters die, but it made me reflect on my own existence and my own interaction with my daily life, basically.
Awesome, thank you. Being a teacher, my one of my supplemental questions regarding this topic might be, what would you recommend or how would you encourage your friend who, instead of reading a book before he goes to sleep, scrolls on his phone through reels and social media? So how would you encourage him to read a paper book instead, or maybe like a Kindle or something?
Sure, yeah. I think that personally, because I can only speak from personal experience with this, is that whenever I've gone to uh, bed and had only scrolled on my phone beforehand, I never felt very enriched by something. I never felt like I had something to kind of go forward into the next day considering or thinking about. But when I'm engaging with some book or some story and I get to return to that book or story every day, it makes me feel much more enriched. It makes me look forward to something for the next day. It makes me reflect on myself. And yeah, definitely looking at reels or something like this doesn't make me think this way and it doesn't give me that same enriching experience. It might be a bit more work to read a paperback book than to look at reels. And some days you do need to just look at reels. But
Mhm.
I think that it is very enriching and very rewarding to do so. So it's good to try to find time to do it a few times a week at least, definitely.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And you guys, see, this is an amazing topic. You can choose in between book, you can choose movies, you can choose music. You all guys listen to music, you have headphones in all the time, and you have to read because you are in your graduating year. You guys have to read for Czech language, and I know you guys have to. So you have so much to talk about. You can talk about your likes and dislikes. So you got this. You got this topic. If you have questions, there is a last slide with our email address and our social media. So please get in touch. We are happy to help. We are happy to have a mock Maturita session with you, and good luck to you. Ian, thank you so much.
Yes, of course. Thank you.